Peru's President Pedro Castillo impeached and detained. Argentina's Vice President Cristina Kirchner convicted of corruption. What's behind this wave of investigation and criminal charges at the highest echelons of power in Latin America? This is Inside Story. And in Managua, Nicaragua, Ben Norton, an investigative journalist and also the founder and editor of Multipolarista, an independent news website that's based in Latin America. And I know, Ben, you've done some digging into this. I want to understand how what Kirchner is alleging could actually be possible. Surely this is a strength of the question of institutions, of not only the strength of them, but their integrity as well.
Well, we need to understand that Argentina, until very recently in the 1980s, was a dictatorship. There were no democratic institutions until really 1983. And many of those institutions are very weak. And the judicial system is an example of this. And it is weaponized by the political opposition. In fact, since 2004, there have been 654 judicial cases filed, almost all of them frivolous, against Cristina Fernández de Kirchner by the right-wing opposition. In fact, 6 individuals, just those individuals, have filed between 20 and 74 lawsuits against her. So what we see is a constant concerted political attack using the judicial system against her as a weapon. It's called lawfare, legal warfare. And we also have leaked messages and photos and videos showing that prosecutors and judges were conspiring with the right-wing opposition and with large media corporations like the Grupo Clarín, which is the main kind of conservative media outlet like Fox News in Argentina, which supports the right-wing former president, Mauricio Macri. There are photos showing some of the prosecutors in an airport meeting with members of this company. When she says that there is a parallel mafia state that's not elected, I mean, that's not wrong. I mean, the reality is we have evidence showing that these compromised prosecutors were directly collaborating with the opposition and flying on their planes and going to their mansions.
Ben, I'm curious. I want to throw this to you because I see that Mexico is standing by Castillo and they're considering offering him asylum. The president, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, described this as a soft coup. Is this, Ben, leftist solidarity, or is Obrador potentially concerned that something similar could happen to him?
Well, it certainly was a congressional coup. I mean, it's true that what Castillo did in dissolving the Congress was legally in a gray area, although in the Constitution, which we can talk about in a second, which is deeply compromised, and he wanted to change the Constitution to prevent these kinds of coups in the future. But it does provide the possibility for the president to dissolve Congress in certain cases of obstructionism. And the Congress in Peru the perfect description is obstructionist. It has taken every single step since day one to prevent Castillo, the elected president, from being able to govern. That's why there have been 6 presidents in 5 years, because there's an article in the Constitution that goes back to the Fujimori dictatorship, which ended in 2000. Let's not forget, Peru had a far-right dictatorship until 2000, and Fujimori committed genocide. He sterilized indigenous women, and his children are prominent politicians in the opposition. His daughter came close to becoming president, Keiko Fujimori. The point is that he left behind this dictatorial constitution that allows the Congress to remove an elected president with a majority vote if the president is deemed to have moral incapacity. That means nothing. I mean, basically, it opens the possibility for the political opposition to constantly try to launch a legal coup against the president. And yes, you could say that it was a very unwise move for Castillo to dissolve the Congress. But the reality is that this was the 3rd time in just over a year that the Congress was trying to overthrow him. And he was tired of the obstructionism, so he dissolved it. And let's not forget that the Congress, according to the latest poll from a few weeks ago, has 11% approval in Peru. So these are undemocratic actions taken by a very vicious right-wing opposition, and it includes the daughter and the son of the former far-right dictator.
Okay, so taking the main trend from recent elections, it seems, in Latin America has been anti-incumbency. An opponent has won the last, 16 free presidential contests in the region? So, Ben, do you think, very briefly, we should expect then to see a swing to the right in the coming months and years?
Well, it depends on the country. In Argentina, the situation is very difficult, especially economically. largely because the country is trapped in unpayable, odious debt owed to the International Monetary Fund. Ironically, that debt, which is $44 billion, was taken by the previous right-wing president, Mauricio Macri, but it has really trapped the current government, the center-left government of Alberto Fernández and Cristina Kirchner. And it's very likely that in the 2023 elections that are coming up, especially considering that Cristina said in her speech after the sentence that she's not going to be running for president, it's likely the right wing is going to win in Argentina. And that is going to throw a wrench into the project of regional integration, because when Lula comes in Brazil on January 1st, he has said clearly that he wants to try to economically integrate Latin America, to bring back institutions like the UNASUR, the Bank of the South, creating a new currency. And it's very likely that in Argentina, the right is going to come back to power. So, I mean, it depends on the country that you're looking at, but certainly Argentina is one where I think the left's their control of power is very limited.
Indeed.